Good morning. Let me grab my coffee here. Sorry, I'm a few seconds late this morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm Stacy. This is Walking in My Shoes, and we are loving my veteran. I'm gonna get all the essential stuff out of the way, the stuff we have to have. Um, I'm not a counselor. No one here is. If you need help, you need to reach out and get professional help. And everything in our videos are copyrighted to Loving My Veteran. So it has been a whirlwind of a week so far, and it is only Thursday. Don't forget, tonight, Let's Talk, our Zoom meeting. The link, it is set as an event on our page, and we will, morning, Michelle, and we will post it again in our group. It is a wonderful support group. We have a lot of fun. We talk about a lot of amazing things as we're going. Morning, Pam. Throughout our days. So, with that being said, let me bring everybody up to speed. There is an incredible movie that I got to watch yesterday, and they've actually said that they will do a screening for us, and so we're trying to work that out. And it's called Wounded Heroes. It is an incredible movie. It is done by Michael Gear. He said that he would set up a screening for us. So I'm gonna work on that and get a date and be able to preview it. But it is about alternative treatments to PTSD. It is phenomenal. I've watched it. There is absolutely nothing in it that will trigger a veteran. So just putting that out there. Thank you, Sue. Sue said she shared the video yesterday with Corey. It is an excellent movie, and so Michael Gear is a phenomenal producer, and we're going to work with him actually in talking about, as I call it, the ghost, the unseen warfighter, which is the military spouse, which is going to lead us, the veteran spouse, the veteran's other half, the veteran family, which is going to lead us into where we are today. I know we've spent a lot of time talking about this week about veterans and what they're not getting and the healthcare issues and feeling like they're disposable. From our side, I think we feel like we're not even there. As the spouse and the caregiver, we feel like nobody hears us, nobody sees us, and darn sure nobody prepares us. So we are really, they come home today. Good morning, Colleen. It's nice to see you today, too. We come home, they come home, and, in the military life, and I don't know how many of you were pre-military active duty with your veteran, but when you go into active duty, they always say that you're not issued at boot camp. My ex-husband, they told me I was not issued in a sea bag, and they made it very clear that the military wife, the military spouse, should be that June Cleaver look, in the little dress with her mouth shut, wearing the little flag and standing on the corner waving your little flag. That was the military's mentality of the military spouse. Okay? You couldn't dictate policies. You couldn't say, I can even remember living on base housing. If we had a water leak and they were not deployed, I could not call housing maintenance and tell them that we had a water leak in our house that was filling up the house, right? I couldn't even call them. The service member had to, unless they were deployed. And I'm thinking, he's like at work on the ship, even though it's docked here. It's not like he can just pick up the phone and call you. And by the way, the pipe just burst, and it looks like, we got Niagara Falls coming in the house. But that's always been the military's mentality towards the spouses. And that mentality is being carried over into the veteran world. Yes, the bases sponsored FRGs or Navy wives or whatever support groups, and they were there, and we just kind of got together, and it was just something everybody had, right? But we weren't supposed to talk about politics, and we weren't supposed to complain about anything, not care, not anything that went on. We were just there to bake the cakes and do the fundraisers so we could do stuff with the kids And that's what we were there for. That's what we were there for. But the same mentality has carried over into the VA system. The same mentality has carried over. When the reality is there's 168 hours in a week, and we are the ones who are with our veteran during that 168 hours a week. They get diagnosed with stuff, whether it is PTSD or a TBI or medical conditions that require care, and we are not supposed to be part of that care process. I know there's a lot of them. We hear this, a lot of mentality is, oh, go get the caregiver stipend. Well, the caregiver stipend doesn't give you permission to go in with them, right? The caregiver stipend is just, it's a money that you get if you can prove that they need you. We are not dealing with that on this site. You can go to DAV or one of them and get them to help you. But because I'm not getting into the politics behind that, but we're left to being dealt, exactly, Sarah. We're the ones left to deal with being screamed at. So we become the warfighters. The quiet, silent, ghost in the background warfighters. They don't see us. They don't prepare us. Let me tell you something. If I would have known day one of my relationship with Carl, day one, what I know now, and had they prepared me for what I know now, we would have spent a long time not arguing. We would have spent a long time without the turmoil that went on early on. We would have not been yelled at and screamed at, and so much of this would have gone away had we have been part of it from day one, and we're not. We are the unseen, silent, you don't matter people. So as the spouse and the partner and the family, we're left to do nothing. You know, you take somebody with a TBI, for example, they can't remember it truly affects their short-term memory, okay? It truly affects, yeah, mine has too. Strictly been on-the-job self-training. I could probably pass the medical boards, okay? I'm just saying. But you truly sit here and we have them in the care, but we get nothing. TBI, they forget. They forget. Their short-term memory is physically changed with the TBI. So the doctor at the VA, you get a prescription because you're sad or you're depressed or you're suicidal or you're whatever, right? And even without that, without the short-term memory loss, so they write it, right? They write it down, and they go in and they get their prescription and they go back and they say, oh, it's not working, I don't feel good, and so they increase it. Well, the side effects of that drug are suicide and depression. So they're having suicidal thoughts and they're depressed. So we're going to give them more of the same drug when it may be the drug all along. Then, if that doesn't work, they change them. There's drug interactions. There's allergies. There's certain drugs that they can't take. Go back to Janine Letts. Her son could not take Klonopin in his record 3 times, and they gave it to him anyway. Had she been allowed to be part of his care, had she been told, she was never told from day one that Johnny could not take Klonopin. Never told that. So what is happening as we go through this process is we are not part of their care. We are the unseen people. It's up to us. We're the warfighters now who are looking at their prescriptions when they come in, and we're the ones who are analyzing, okay, so they're supposed to take this and this, and you've got to go get on the PDR, and you've got to go back in and you've got to say, okay, does this drug interact with this drug? You can do that. There's an app that does that. And the strange thing is, as a civilian, I can go to an app or a website and Google this, right? And there's a whole list, drugs A to Z. I can Google what drugs are on and see if there's a drug interaction, but the VA can't seem to do that. And we're supposed to be the ones who fight that. And then when we call the therapist or send an email to the therapist, they're like, oops, sorry, you're not part of their care today. And you're like, what the hell? And you got these war fighters that don't want to admit that they're broken, right? So they go to therapy because we've kind of pushed them. A lot of spouses push them into therapy. So we push them into therapy, and they go sit down with their counselor, and they go sit with their therapist, and they're like, "How's your day?" "It's good." And a lot of it's video conferencing now, right? So I can sit here and I can go, "It's good. I'm having a great day." Right? And I may be sitting here with the gun next to me, but you don't see that on the video counseling. And well, how are things at home? Are you having explosions anymore with your wife? Nope, we're fine. Nobody sees the hole that was put through the wall yesterday. Right? You sleeping? Yep, just fine. They don't see the nightmares and the not sleeping. They don't see any of that. I love it. Take the allergy medicine for anxiety. This is what happens, and they're not telling the counselors what's really going on. So the counselors, in somebody else's case, and I'm not going to put it out unless she chooses to, in the counselor's case, sends an email and says he no longer has PTSD. And then it's the spouse, the warrior, the unseen warrior's job to send it in there. Right? To send it in there and say, this is not what's really going on. And you pray to God that your counselor reads it. Or a lot of times, it happened to another veteran's wife. She sent in what was really going on. And what happened? The counselor tells the veteran, I think your wife is crazy. She's doing this. Is she medicated? Is she drinking? Because you're telling me things are fine. So we're fighting as the unseen warrior, right? The ghost. We're fighting that battle, but we don't even know who the heck we're fighting. Yeah, and so it is kind of behind. They do lie to their counselors. They misrepresent to their counselors. They misrepresent to their counselors because who wants to sit there and say, I'm defective? When you ask me how my day is, I'm going to tell you I'm having a good day. Whether I'm having a good day or not, I'm not going to tell you I am about ready to fall apart. I'm not going to do that. So I go sit down with the counselor. How you doing today? I'm good. You and Carl having issues? Nope, we're fine. I don't want to air that dirty laundry out. You were coming across this week. You're not coming across as that warfighter. You're not coming across as that Marine. You're not coming across as that Ranger. You're not coming across as that Airborne. You're not coming across as the big bad warrior that you were trained to become. And where are we at? Yeah, your veteran minimizes it. They can minimize the severity of things. They don't want it to look bad. And here's the problem. When they're stuck in their heads, they don't see that what they're doing is a problem. So they're stuck in their head. They're at the counselor. They don't see the stuff. Then when they say, oh, I'm still a little anxious. Here, take another drug. Take another drug. Take another one. We're not part of the mix. Seriously, look at Sarah's case. If her husband has a TBI and PTSD on top of each other, or TBI that they're now saying is PTSD because that's the blanket diagnosis that lets us prescribe better. Depression, you're prescribing off-label because the TBI, the PTSD medicine isn't working, so now we're going to prescribe off-label, okay, and we're going to say you now have depression. So we can now add more to the mix. So the TBI issues, they're sitting here. It is a totally different ballgame in PTSD and TBI because there's some true things that affect the brain in short-term memory and cognitive stuff that really happens in that TBI situation that doesn't happen in the PTSD situation. And here's the other thing, and I talk about Michelle a lot. Okay, God, Damon's little helicopter fell out the sky and landed on the ground. And they want to say, there is no way you can have a TBI. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not a medical doctor, but I'm telling you, as a paramedic, when you get in a collision where somebody hits the back of your car and you go boom boom, you end up with a minor to a major TBI from counter crew injury, where it hits the back of the brain and then it comes forward and hits the front of the brain because your brain is held in fluid. But who has to fight for that? She does. She does. So the spouses and the family are the unseen warfighters in this battle, and we can't even go see the people we're trying to fight to protect the ones that we love. No wonder we're all in a tailspin out here. No wonder we don't get it. No wonder the anger is there. Yeah, they lie. They tell us all kinds of stuff. Oh, I got all kinds of stuff up on here, sorry. They tell them all kinds of stuff. Right? But a lot of times it isn't that they're lying about what's on there. A lot of times it's because in their minds they do feel better than they felt in the nightmares time before. Or they don't want to admit that there's failure. So, part of this mix really should be, let's bring the family in. I understand you got to work with the veteran too, but if once a month you bring that family in and you'd sit down and say, what is going on as a whole here? Right? Well, let's get to the truth here. And then you start working on, but what happens? Think they need another med. Isn't that beautiful? We're the quiet ones. We don't even know what they're doing to them. You can't take Richard to the hospital. Richard, she won't go take him to the hospital right now. Because she's not going to sit in the parking lot because of COVID and not go in with him. That's crazy. You people don't even know what she does with him on a daily basis. I'm not even going to the hospital. People don't even know what she does with him on a daily basis. They don't know what all he can do and can't do. They don't understand all of that. But she's supposed to sit in the parking lot. If it wasn't for her being in the room with him so many other times he was hospitalized, he'd already be gone. And Stephanie, you're right. We have to see the truth. But we're missing that in the thing because the veteran spouses are not considered valuable. They don't tell us the realities of what it's like. They don't tell us how to mitigate a problem before it happens. Because I'm going to tell you what, if on day one I would have known that yelling was an issue, I would have worked on that long before we got to explosive problems. Okay? There. So you got to sit in on Corey's session. And she said it was the longest session she had, and it was helpful, and they talked about different therapy options, and you go through that. And that's amazing. But they don't tell us this stuff ahead of time. They give you a pamphlet. Here's your pamphlet, 2 pages. You got PTSD. I don't have PTSD yet, but I'm going to get it if you don't figure out what's going on in my house. Well, I did from EMS, but yeah, I'm going to get it. If you don't help me figure out what's going on in my house. And then you wonder why divorce rates are so high. Hello? Somebody wake up. But it's a blind eye. It's sweep it under the carpet because veterans and military and the mentality is while you're active duty and while you're being that perfect person, stand there in your dress like June Cleaver and wave the flag. And that's the picture perfect world we want to have. That's the picture perfect poster child of the military life we want to have. That's the part they can sell. That's the good side that sells to America, right? That's the good size. I love that. I know, Stephanie. We're going to talk in a minute. That's the part that sells. But when you can no longer be the June Cleaver standing there waving the flag, hugging them on the pier after the plane when they get off with all the balloons and all the good stuff, they pick up the carpet and they sweep under it. And I'm telling you, y'all, it's a carpet and there's not just a little pile of dust. There are trenches dug underneath of that carpet that they are just sweeping the families, the veterans, everybody underneath because nobody wants to deal with the problem. And why are we fighting this battle, Stephanie? If the Army marked him as 75% disabled because of PTSD, why are we fighting this with the VA for a rating? And why are we telling the counselor telling you don't have it? Agent Orange didn't kill anybody. Right? That's what they said. But there's some interesting things I found out about that, and that's probably a whole nother conversation. They knew. They knew. The problem is there's a very specific statute of limitations. And that statute of limitations to be able to sue, okay, that statute of limitations to be able to sue is from the date they first used it, not the date they first proved it was harmful, the date they first used it, and there's so many years. And they couldn't admit that Agent Orange had a problem because they wanted to get past the time period for lawsuits. Had an amazing conversation. We're not sweeping nothing else under these rugs. We're not sweeping anything else under these rugs again. We love our veterans. We have got to stop picking up the carpet and sweeping it into the trench. We have to stop. You're right, Michelle. We are the most important part of their care. But more importantly, the entire, oh yeah, they knew they wouldn't declare it public until that statute of limitations ran out. Wouldn't do it. Wouldn't do it. They knew in 1974 that the water I was drinking. But guess what? They were spilling that water. They knew those chemicals were in there. They were spilling it into the groundwater. The statute of limitations has already ran out. That's what happened at Camp Lejeune. That's why they can't sue for monetary, and they're finally getting care. But this is insane. So we, as a veteran advocate community, have to get this out that we are done. We are done. We have to be part of their care. It makes me ill that I had to watch a movie which was incredible yesterday. A documentary that was incredible yesterday. To look at alternative treatments that the VA knows about that wouldn't even, no baby, the chickens are not in the house, they're outside of the house trying to lay an egg. That's what you're hearing them for now. They loud this morning. Right? There's alternative treatments out there that the VA knows about. And here's the kicker. The treatments that we all saw yesterday, these people are offering to the military and to the veterans for free. For free. Can I back that up one more time? Why should I, because I love Carl, okay? But why should we as spouses have to search for alternative treatments when they know about them and they refuse to use them. Because here's a little interesting fact for you. A little interesting fact for you. In 2000, was it 15 or 17, in a 2-year time period in 2017-ish, the VA and the military, you're going to love this, the VA and the military increased what they were spending on depression, anxiety, PTSD, the psychological medicines by 700% in 2 years. Now, you really want to look at that into a much broader spectrum? Go look at the pharmaceutical companies who made it. Go look at, yeah, because it can't. It's big pharma is not lining the VA's pockets, baby. Big pharma is lining the congressmen's and Congress's pockets, and that's why they push for it. That's why the doctors don't get to do what they want. A 700% increase in medications in a 2-year period. In a 2-year period, a 700% increase. You know why they don't want us involved? They don't want us involved because we're going to go back in and say, hold tight. You're not giving them 30 medications. Wow, Nikki, I'm reading it. Agent Orange was white, blue, and green, and he was exposed to all but white. You know why? They don't want us involved. You know why? Because you're going to do exactly what we just said, and you're going to Google the medications, and you're going to find out there's an interaction between those medications. You're going to find all that out. And you're going to say, we're done. We're not taking 30 pills anymore. And what's that going to do to what the VA is spending on their 700% increase in drugs in a 2-year period only to treat PTSD? It is a money game. It is all about the money. It's a money game. They don't want us involved because they know we're going to Google it. They don't want us involved because we're going to say this isn't working. They don't want us involved because we're going to tell our veterans, you have the right to say no to these drugs. That's what they don't want us involved for. Elisa, the natural treatments, you have no idea what we saw. I'm going to get, Michael Gear has said he will do a screening, so I want to put it out there probably sometime next week. Yeah. You think, Lisa? Exactly. Now, I'm not the brightest bulb in the tree. Okay, but if you can go home and Google that, that 2 of your husband's meds can have a fatal interaction if mixed together, you mean to tell me the yahoos that are sitting there writing the prescriptions don't know that? That the pharmacy staff at the VA doesn't know that? If I go to Kroger and pick up my medicine, they already have a database that says you can't take this with this. So drugs.com will tell you that 2 of her drugs will cause fatalities. It's insane. It's insane. It's insane. But we are the unseen warfighters. We are the ones who are told to sit in the background. We are the ones who are exactly supposed to sit back and shut our mouths. Not anymore. Not anymore. This chick is putting on her combat boots and her BDU pants. And I'm fixing to roll up my sleeves and fight a battle that has needed to be fought in this country for our veterans for a very long time. You're right, Stephanie. They have no idea who we are, but they will. They will. So, I'm going to get off of here. I'm going to go run up to the store with my other half, who I adore, because I need some fresh air. We have the backing. We have the voice. We have the platform. So we're going to get together. And we're going to go out into some breakout sessions. We're going to work on that this week. Anybody who wants to help, let's get together and let's start laying this plan out, because I can't do it alone. That's why we have a community. Let's start targeting the things that are important and let's start working on it, because we have so much going for us. I spent an hour and a half on the phone doing and talking with Suzanne and them from the Brockovich Foundation and the Brockovich Report. They are covering the toxic water in the Brockovich Report, our story. We're going to start digging into that. I have people who are working on this. We've got to have the media stuff. Aaron Brockovich's writers are going to help us put together the press releases. We are empowering ourselves, and when we learn to do one, we're going to learn to do the other. It is time we are done. But yesterday was very successful. It was, and I jumped up and down. It is time we are done. You want to fight? It's time for us to fight. You want to yell? We're not going to yell at our veterans. We're going to yell somewhere till somebody hears what we have to say. And the more of us that are involved, the better our lives are going to be. And the more spouses we can get on this bandwagon, the better it's going to be. Because you might be able to silence some people, but you can't silence me. What you going to do? Carl's over there. Oh, God, Stacy's wired now. He's like, ooh, she's wound up today. Y'all are a blessing. We will see you tonight on Let's Talk. I'm going to pop out of here. We have so much that we're getting ready to do. I'm going to go spend a few minutes with Carl and unwind, as he tells me, because I need it desperately, is what he tells me. So I'm going to go unwind with him for a minute. Y'all have a blessed day. I'll see you at 7 p.m. tonight on Let's Talk. Let's do this. Have a blessed day. And thank you for being the Ghost Warfighters. Bye.